Hey, True Believers, England Teen here with LK, and we saw, just like everybody else, we saw the Ben Kenobi thing, but we also watched the Ms. Marvel TV show and figured why not? Let's share our thoughts with it on both of them. You, kind of by the thumbnail, you know what I'm thinking here. Also, I've given some clues. First, I need to get to Ben Kenobi first. Since that came out first, let's talk about that one. Now the bird. He was quiet all throughout, and then start talking. Now he's going to go crazy.
Well, he hates Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show too.
Yeah. Well, I need to shut him up. I'll be right back. You give your initial thoughts. Gosh darn it. It's live too. Like if we were doing this as a video, I could just edit this out.
Yeah.
There you go.
No problem. I mean, I'll talk. And mine's real simple. So I mean, I watched one episode. I was done with Kenobi after that because of multiple ways. And at this point, you know what? Spoilers, everybody. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm spoiling this because I don't give an F about this show because of how bad it is. So, from the opening, we get, I just said, I don't care. I'm spoiling this. And so I gave a 5-second countdown because I don't care.
Okay, so it's a full-on let's spoil the hell out of episodes 1 through 4 of Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just starting off at the beginning. So the beginning, we get a little flashback scene of the Empire, well, the soon-to-be Empire. I forget exactly what you call it, but basically, killing the Jedi kids, and they're running away, and then there's a little group of them that seem to get saved. And then we turn into present day where we get to see sad sack Kenobi, and
that I think is part of the problem there.
Well, because I take it back. No, because the beginning is then we saw. I forget actually the beginning, but I mean, I remember the other complaints I had was it's like, okay, this is the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and it took over 5 minutes for Kenobi to finally show up.
That doesn't bother me so much because a lot of times they'll introduce the villain, whatever it is that the hero has to go up against. Yeah. We did get some flashbacks to the prequels and what happened between Kenobi and Anakin and all that kind of stuff. That didn't bother me so much, but what did was what you brought up. What did was what you brought up, the sad sack Kenobi. Yeah, I had the same problem when I watched Elektra. You remember that movie? Did you ever see that?
Are you talking about the Jennifer Garner one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She starts off, we meet her, and she is just so sad and so downtrodden, and oh, woe is me, isn't everything sucky? And the problem with that is if you treat your hero like that, the audience is going to feel it. The audience is going to feel that just malaise that we get. And Kenobi gives it to us right away. We're not, I think it would have been better to see the fall of Kenobi than the rise again, which apparently they're going to do now.
Interesting. But I mean, just to kind of continue the timeline a little bit, then we, get the dark Sith out there, that are trying to exterminate and capture the last of the Jedi. And then we get our star, Reva. And the minute she was on the screen, within 30 seconds, I knew exactly what her story was. And for those of you who don't know, she's the little black girl at the very beginning, is one of the baby Jedis that gets saved and obviously is turned over to the dark side. So you can tell right away that at some point along the line, we're going to get a redemption story with this mustache twirling villain.
Oh, I hope not. And I just want to, the only redemption I want for is.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing too, is then if you then take it to go back to the media controversy of all the bad things being said about the actress online, I'm not necessarily, I try to rein in the conspiracy theories because you can go down deep rabbit holes with that. However, this is Hollywood. and Hollywood has a way of trying to spend PR and press. And after watching that first episode, I am, let's say, 80% convinced that Disney Lucasfilm PR spun up the controversy because they knew what the reaction was going to be in terms of how bad an actress, how bad she did in acting this role.
I did a video on my channel about Kelly Tran, the girl who plays Rose Tico in the sequels. And it was all about, don't blame the actress. The script was bad. The direction was bad. Everything surrounding this movie was bad. Don't blame the actress, because anybody would have taken that role. If they came up to you and said, hey, LK, you want to be Rose Tico in the new Star Wars movie, you would say, hell yes. What am I playing? An Asian girl? I'm in. You know, you would have been just A-OK with taking a role in Star Wars. Don't blame the actress. So I did this video based on it. And then I got the comments. And so, look, if she wants to say that people are giving, I can tell you, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it on my own videos. I've had to delete so many freaking comments that were just some of the worst things I've ever seen said about a person. And it floored me because
except I mean, in this case though, like even the examples they were giving were from, you know, they dug up, you know, Twitter comments from people that have like 4 followers. I mean, just absolutely.
More than likely what it was a sock puppet, of course, that just they did. This is the one that they go out and they say the bad stuff. There are people out there who will do that, and there are people who do that because they know that it's going to get some sort of bad reaction.
Yeah.
They don't usually use that language, but now they've got a anonymity.
Yeah, anonymity.
That word. Yeah, thank you. I can't speak English. It's my first language. What do you expect? Yeah. So, but I've seen it happen. That being said, that woman sucks.
Yeah. Well,
get rid of all the racial aspects of it, and this woman is horrible at her job. She cannot do her job.
Yeah, it is a Snidely Whiplash vaudevillian level of villain. And at one point, I even laughed where she kind of like played with her braid in her ponytail, and I almost wanted her to twirl it because, well, she didn't have a mustache, so
might as well
twirl the ponytail instead to show just how evil she is.
And part of that is the readings. There's one where Darth Vader says, "Okay, you're going to be in control of all this," and she goes in and she says, well, Darth Vader said I'm in control, so why don't we get that package now? And it was just the worst freaking reading I've heard in a long time in any professional movie. I mean, I watched some independent movies where basically you could tell the guy hired his friends.
Yeah.
Fine, that happens. Watch Clerks again. That ain't the greatest acting movie of all time.
How?
But if you're doing Die on Another Hill, you're going to lose on this one. But if
Clerks is a great film?
No, the Clerks has great acting all the way through. I said, because of the thing I said about hiring your friends, trust me, some of those friends are not good.
Yeah.
The back to Star Wars though, this, you take away all the racial aspects. This woman is just absolutely god awful. And if in a production like this, you need that top notch. Ewan McGregor even seems to phone it in. I've never seen him phone in before. There are times where Ewan McGregor comes out of his shell and he's actually Ewan McGregor. Yeah. But one of the things I've always enjoyed about the actor, and I've seen him in a few smaller roles and a few things where you could tell he's hamming it up. You ever watch Jack and the Giant Killer? But I've never seen him just decide, you know what, when you guys are ready to show up, I'll show up.
Yeah. Well, he shows a better range of emotions in his Expedia commercials than he does, at least here in the first episode. But
that's partly due to the writing.
Yeah. But you know, I was going to say before we continue, just shout outs. Hey, welcome Jughead. Hey, Rhaegar, Hassan Terrell, Joe Rogers, the Helium. Aloise is here, so yeah, we started getting a crowd.
Hello,
so
hello.
Do you want to talk about Obi-Wan next, or do you want to talk about the other star of the show, Leia?
Okay, so everybody's brought this up, but I guess the one thing about I don't mind the way that Leia is being portrayed. She's a kid. She's a stuck-up kid. She's been raised as royalty, and we know who she will grow up to be. So I'm not actually against how she's being played as much as I am against the fact that grown men can't catch a small child running through the woods, especially when she's literally right here. Yeah. You could see them running like this, just so it looks like they're giving chase.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
So this version of 10-year-old Leia, because again, we need also just tell everybody the timeline supposedly is about 10 years after the end of episode 3.
Okay.
So Leia is supposed to be basically a 10-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So looking at her and how it's portrayed, does that fit the Leia that we see in Star Wars?
To me, it does.
Could you? Okay, so you could see that kind of person mature into.
Yeah, because right now, that's part of the problem,
10
right?
years later, because again, that's the other thing too. Of when you look at this and you're suddenly starting to go, okay, so I'm not sure necessarily canon. Although again, we can talk about this too. Is that they don't give an F about canon?
Oh no. Well, I didn't even know this because I'm more of a Star Trek fan than a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
I love the movies, and by that I love 3 of the Star Wars movies. I like 3. I love 3, and that's all there ever was made.
Yeah, and met about 1 and hate 2. I know various things. I think people think, okay, either Luke in Star Wars, when we first see him is supposed to be maybe 18. I've heard other people say 20. Because it's kind of like, okay, well, he's still living at home, but there's no like college type thing, so it's necessarily hard. I've always thought he's probably closer to like his early 20s.
Okay.
In there. So bottom line is we're talking about this is set, and so then once this is done, then it's a jump of 10 to 15 years to Star Wars. Oh, and speaking about ages, the other thing too. Okay, so again, the fact that this is 10 years after what happened in the end of episode 3. So we see Reva as a small child, running from, Anakin and the Sith Lords and what have you, not to get killed. So let's be generous and say she's around 7 in that.
Okay.
The actress they chose to portray her. Does this look 30. Like anybody who is 17 or 18 years old?
Yeah, I see where you're going. In her case, Black most certainly did crack. If you are talking about 17 years old, yeah, you're right. She looks 30 when she really should be in her 20s.
Yeah. And then to go along with that, would you send a 17 or 18-year-old person on a mission like this?
I killed all the other Jedi. Yes. I don't have a big pool to choose from there, sir. These guys who kind of like to dress like me.
But again, you don't necessarily need to send a Sith, but
I wouldn't send her because she fangirls. I mean, at least the other guy, the Asian dude, wears that weird hat. She's flat out wearing the Darth Vader outfit except for the control board. So yeah. I wouldn't send her because obviously she's just way into it.
So I mean, kind of getting back to Leia again, the whole thing of her being I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way, especially after I watched episode 1, because then I had questions about okay. I was trying to remember exactly, some of the things that, Obi-Wan said. More importantly, too, well, when we get into it, in terms of, so okay, so again, Leia's out in the running around the forest. She's not supposed to, you know, and these three big guys come up, and she is able to escape a couple, and then eventually gets kidnapped.
Worst fucking chase
And
scene.
and it was great, and it was great to see Flea, back on television. So for all you Red Hot Chili Pepper fans, Flea is in Obi-Wan. Maybe you want to, catch his highlights in there. Yeah, I don't know. He's fine in there. So she gets captured. And if you've heard the story, so then Bail Organa, reaches out, via communications, to try and get Obi-Wan, because he's the only person he can trust, to go get, go capture, rescue Leia. Now, something initially I didn't think about, but having watched a couple other review videos, because again, I'm not watching the show, but there's a certain review channel that has a lot of fun in reviewing these. At the same time, they make some really strong points. When we look at this, why doesn't Bail Organa go to the Empire and say, "Hey, my daughter's been kidnapped. Can you help me?" Because otherwise, he's going to bring a whole host of suspicion on. Well, why haven't you told us this? When he's supposed to be like, secret, rebel alliance and all that nonsense. But so it just again raises questions. But it was that whole thing of, okay, he's going to ask Obi-Wan Kenobi to go, rescue and return Leia.
Yeah.
So that was where I then kind of was like, okay, wait a minute, and went back and watched Star Wars again, and kind of paid careful attention to, the very beginning, when we see Leia making the recording, and later on, and the way she talks about him, there is no way she knew who Obi-Wan Kenobi was beyond her dad basically telling her, in Star Wars, the beginning of Star Wars, it's implied that, hey, you need to go contact, this guy, General Kenobi. He can help us, with the Alliance.
From what I read, or from what I saw, and the way I read into it in Star Wars, was that she knew of him. Like, she's being groomed to be the princess.
Yeah,
so she knew. Let me finish a sentence here. This is the fourth time you did this, Dalton. Come on. She's being groomed to be a princess, and she's been around certain people. I got the idea in Star Wars that she had met Ben Kenobi, but more as a you stay back, you watch, you learn kind of thing. This is not somebody she's had big interactions of, but she knows of because she's seen her father interact with it. That's how I got it. But that's neither here nor there. You're going way inside baseball. This is one of those things, like those two guys I always complain about from my past, where I walked into a shop and they're arguing about why a model that, in all honesty, looks awesome of the Enterprise sucks, because that gunner should be right over here instead of right over here. And isn't that, yeah, we are now 20 minutes into this. We are going to be 2 hours long if you're going to go over this. Hey, look, I read every book kind of bullshit. So let's just talk about what's on the show. And I get it. Yeah, there's a character that got killed at the end of the second episode that should have stayed, because he dies in something called Rebels or something that I've never seen.
Yeah.
But the thing is here's the thing. Let's just move on with this.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Reva, the actress, she sucks, and there's no coming back from that. Maybe there's going to be something where it clicks. They obviously can't film every episode in a day, so maybe somebody talked to her, and in a later episode she's going to get good. I doubt it. The only time I saw Ewan McGregor act like Ben Kenobi in I don't know if it's the first or second episode, was when he goes to Najada behind him, the dude that was in the Eternals, and he does his thing. He actually acts like Ben Kenobi for once. Mm-hmm. And that's probably, to me, that's the biggest problem. We all know, of course, about the fence. And in what was that, the third episode or second episode, third?
I'm not sure, because again, I haven't actually watched it.
Yeah, I have. I've seen them all, and I watched this to the end. Yeah. That scene, I actually had to back it up. My wife hates it when I do this because I'll notice stuff, and she goes, "You're interrupting the flow of the show, okay?" And I said, "But look at this. He gets out to destroy this freaking gate, right? And he could just walk around, and you could walk around the guard booth. If you're too afraid to walk around the other side because maybe those lasers are going to go through, you just walk around the guard booth. It's easy peasy." And then she said, "Well, what if she's moving the truck, or what if he's moving the truck?" Well, okay, yeah. Well, nope. They just walk right through. It's one of the idiot scenes. There's so much wrong with this that you really don't have to go all that inside baseball to look at this show and go, why? This is a beautiful train wreck. And the fact that I have not seen a movie or a TV show fail in damn near every decision they've made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's big problems and then little problems. And hold on a sec. I gotta go. My timer here.
Your dinner's done. Yeah. I'll get some comments while you're.
Yeah. Let me go hit that real quick.
Yeah. Take care of it, man. Let's see. Disney's whole agenda is about destroying the former Star Wars films, says to Hillam, and put their new trash storyline in place. I actually believe that too. I worked the movie theaters when the Last Jedi and when they did the last one. What was that? The Death of Everything You Love About Star Wars. I think that was the title of it. So yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. It just seems that they're out to destroy everything you might like about the franchise. But to me, once again, I've said this before, Star Wars is Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi to me. I don't have to watch the prequels. Sometimes I do, but it's not a major part of it. The sequels barely exist. You know, I've actually got the first one. I never bought Last Jedi, and I will never buy Rise of Skywalker. But I bought the first, the Force Awakens. Never watch it. Why would I? If I want to watch Star Wars, I'm going to watch Star Wars, not whatever they're calling Star Wars these days. Gosh darn it. I got to move this back. It's causing that little noise on the screen. There. You'll get over it when you realize you don't know what you want until I give it to you. Taika Waititi, to a fan concerned about Thor. That is a very rare occasion. Unfortunately, it's not just Taika Waititi. I've heard a lot of people use this. It's because, look, we didn't want Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump comes out. Everybody loves it. Same with E.T. Same with it. Basically any brand new movie that comes out and it's a big hit. You didn't know you wanted Shawshank Redemption until you got the DVD. It was in theaters. Nobody went to and see it. So they think that's the way success is made, to basically, but this is different. This is big difference. And this is why Taika Waititi, when he says that to somebody about Thor, doesn't freaking understand what he's talking about. When you're talking about a new product, okay, yeah, hey, we didn't know we wanted Jojo Rabbit, but when we saw it, that was pretty funny and pretty damn good. I'll give him that. But we know who Thor is. We know what Thor is supposed to be. So when somebody comes up and says, look, what you're doing with the character is not good, they can't use that because we know who these characters are supposed to be. So, yeah, they try to get away with it. Nah, don't let them. Disney's, I already read that one. Too much good stuff out there to hate watch anything, says Dick Sargent York. Well, then again, I actually just I'm interested in where they're going with this too, in all honesty. But there is a lot of good stuff out there. I know I'm watching again. I'm watching Stranger Things with my wife. We just watched what was that movie? Oh, we're watching Columbo also, and that is one of the greatest TV shows ever made. I am convinced of that now. And we've watched a couple of movies recently. I finally saw that Everything Everywhere All at Once. That is just a ton of fun. And I could see why Doctor Strange now suffers, because a lot of people saw that movie and then went, Doctor Strange didn't handle this as good. Let's see. Leia only knew of Kenobi only via his reputation and connection to Bail Organa. Okay. I didn't know about the novels. Once again, I am not a novel reader for Star Trek, Star Wars. I read the Resident Evil novels, but yeah. Let's see. Rhaegar saying, "Oh man, they messed up the continuity already." Typical. Yeah, apparently so. I didn't even know it until I saw it on Twitter. So there you go. Let me see what else we have. Hail Lord Zeno. Well, hello to Roberts. Is he heating up? I don't know. He said he might have to bow out for a while because, of course, it's dinner time. So, and he's like right now, he's got his mic off, and it's probably because I have a thing about eating noises. It's a weird thing. I know it's on me, but at least he's very nice. Salisbury steak with mashed potatoes, chocolate brownie. Yeah, everybody gets the same thing, right? I like the rib dinner that they have there on those Hungry Men things. Let's see. Ask her of what Takawiti sounds like something Harvey Weinstein was telling. Okay. We always have back issues, DC Rebirth, graphic novels, plus older movies to watch and enjoy. Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And yes, it's Return. It was Revenge for about 30 seconds, but before the movie came out, they changed it. So I don't know. Keeping on about the show, I do have to admit, well, the third episode was horrible bad. Mainly because it's in your mind. The Force is in your mind. Now, granted, they show him he's having a hard time moving a little toy truck. By the end of the fourth episode, he comes back, and it's Ben Kenobi again. But when Darth Vader's just holding him there, and he's like, I can't do anything. Yeah, you can. It's in your mind. Throw dirt in his eyes or something like that, or into his respirator. Do anything. But they have him dragged into fire like a whiny little bitch, and it was just like maybe it just seemed like, okay, you know what might really jar you right into just burning to death. So yeah, I didn't like the third episode. I did think that the fourth one was better. I will say that the fourth episode was better. However, when you're talking about such low quality, the fourth one being better doesn't mean it goes from here to here. It just means moved up a notch. So, and that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. So did you talk about the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader yet?
Yeah, I was just bringing that up. I don't get it. I don't get it. If you've got a mind power, use your freaking mind power.
Oh yeah, that was that was absolutely something. Well, it was brought up, and actually, go back one of the recent Star Wars games, kind of like had explained this issue that a Jedi or a Sith can use the that force power on somebody who's not a Jedi, but a Jedi has the ability to block it or push it back, and he doesn't. Not to mention just the whole fire thing itself was just, oh god, it was just cringe-inducingly bad when I saw the clip. And again, the explanation of, remember, Anakin didn't even fall into the lava. It was indirect heat that burned off his limbs, while Obi-Wan here is just sitting and rolling around in fire.
It seemed like it seemed like somebody's clever idea for their fan fiction.
Yeah. which
well.
I think we or certainly I kind of like bring up all the time now, with especially with phase 4 MCU and all this and nonsense, and
We're going to get to phase 4 MCU in just a second.
So much of the comic book writing is just bad fan fiction,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, again, I'm happy I'm not wasting any time on this show. It's more fun just watching reviews and seeing people comment and
I'll watch it to the end. I'm not hate watching though. I got to tell you something. I do not hate this show. It sucks. Do not get me wrong. And as LK will attest, I am the shill. I want all IP movies to do great because I want more IP movies. I want more Star Wars. I just want better Star Wars. Star Wars we're not getting unless it's the Bad Batch or animated or Mandalorian, right? There's good stuff out there, and I want that. And the only way we're going to get that is if Star Wars is supported. It's a double-edged sword sometimes. Same with the MCU, which we'll get to in just a few moments. But the thing is I am a true shill. I'm admitted that as well. I'm not getting any money from Disney. I'm not getting, obviously, because I'm poor. But the thing is, I always want these things to do well. So I try to find, and I try to watch them on their own merit, and I try to find the good in them. Mm-hmm. Not much in Obi-Wan. So if I'm saying that, this is something. LK hates everything. So if he says this is bad, can you really trust him? You can't trust him for saying something's bad as much as you can say you can trust me for saying something's good. And speaking of,
well, more importantly too, since I hate everything, when I say something is good, you should perk up and go, oh my God, maybe this thing is really good, because
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Mikey over here hates everything. And I was just going to say to Halen, no, you don't need to catch up with Naomi because it's been canceled. It's going to be forgotten and thrown in the dustbin.
I tried just recently to catch up with Cloak and Dagger. I saw only the one episode. I said, you know what? I'm going to watch that first episode and then I'm going to just keep going. I watched that first episode. I don't know if I can make the leap. It just reminded me why I never watched the second one.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
So one other question I did want to ask you
before we move on.
Yeah. So which camp are you in? Do you think that Obi-Wan should have already known that A, Anakin is Darth Vader?
No.
And B, that he lived?
No.
Okay. Even though in episode 3 he watches a holo video. Mm-hmm. Where the Emperor is, saying, rise, young Vader, and then there's a scene later on with Yoda. What?
He's watching a holo video of that? I thought that was a flashback. Did I miss something?
I
don't think he was watching it. I think they were showing scenes of the parallels of how
there was definitely an episode, a scene in episode 3 where Yoda is, telling Obi-Wan, how Anakin has fallen to the dark side. Anakin is no longer there. It's now.
But Vader. I thought that was a flashback to Revenge of the Sith. I thought that was a flashback to that movie.
T. Hillian is backing me up. Yes, in episode 3, he already knows Vader is Anakin.
Okay. Yeah. See, I missed that. So then that's kind of silly for them. But then again, he never saw him.
Yeah.
So. Seeing somebody in the Darth Vader, that's supposed to be, especially the first time. This would be the first time you're seeing it. It's supposed to be a little bit impactful. So yeah, but either way, yeah. So I missed that he was watching a video or something like that. I thought it was a flashback, so I got that wrong.
Yeah. So and again, this is where too I think we need to call somebody out, and that is to call out Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo Hidalgo is held out and is supposedly the canon expert on the Disney Star Wars team. Because part of another controversy that got raised in the last week or two was an interview that one of the writers of Kenobi said, oh, we were surprised we were able to do this scene because they didn't know that Kenobi knew who Anakin had become from episode 3 or whatever. And in the interview, it states, oh yeah, we went to Pablo because he knows everything about Star Wars and said, hey, can we do this? And he said yes. And beyond the fact that Pablo Hidalgo is a terrible person on the line because he, has ripped at the fans and all the 9 yards and all that stuff.
We've heard all of it. Ists and isms and phobes
his job is supposed to be, quote unquote, I'll say the canon expert. Then he should have known better. And if he didn't know, it's not that hard for him to go research. And I know he was trying to defend some things on the internet about, oh, well, no, it was in this book, but it kind of goes like, but you guys said nothing in any of the books and comic books was canon anymore. That all been jettisoned, because of the sequel. So, kind of like, which is it? And that just goes to the whole thing that we've been seeing in terms of the show, in terms of how canon breaking, and they don't give 2 cents about it. They're just going to tell their story the way they want to, and if it makes sense,
maybe that's why I can get more enjoyment out of it, because I'm not attached to the canon that you guys are. I just am not. I'm not, Lisa. I'm not. It's just one of those. So a normie, as I would be in this case, doesn't feel as much weight, which would also take you a little bit. You should take it a little bit more serious when someone like me says this movie or this TV show is not good.
And again, I mean, that's where when I found out that there's already this first confrontation between Kenobi and Vader in episode 3, I'm like, what? Because when I watched Star Wars, I was always feeling like, this great moment, this, meeting of Kenobi and Vader is the first time that they have met, in, ages.
I didn't get that. Once again, just by the dialogue, I figured there was at least one confrontation between the two of them for him to fully realize how far Anakin had fallen.
That they had they had been kind of circling around each other. Obviously, Obi-Wan, knew, that Vader, who Vader was, but when they finally meet on the Death Star, that was kind of like the big confrontation. And then of course, I mean, you attach it to episode 3. To me, it makes more sense of Obi-Wan's kind of been in the wilderness and kind of shielding Luke, and therefore would have no reason to confront Vader in the 20 years between the end of episode 3 and then what happens in Star Wars at the Death Star.
The big problem with them confronting each other is that you would get an idea of who Ben is, where he is, and then of course why hasn't he confronted Ben on Tatooine? But it could be that's why there's stormtroopers there, so you could justify it in some way, shape, or form. I do want to move on though, because I wanted a little more I wanted a little more time. We're 8 minutes in to it, but the show that actually has me excited. I'm floored, because I was like a lot of people. Now, I've said before, I think Kamala Khan is one of the best characters created in the last 10 or 12 years, since this whole all new, all suck Marvels come about. Not to say that I'm a fan of her comics. I think they're poorly written, and that's part of the problem. Is the fact that I think Kamala Khan has never had a really good writer. With a good writer, and I guess all characters, of course, with a good writer would be a better character. So when they said they're going to do a TV show, like everybody else, my eyes kind of rolled like a freaking slot machine. It makes sense, but I didn't want it. I just didn't want it. So I did turn on the show when it hit 3:00 on Wednesday evening. Okay, or I guess Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. I was like, okay, I'm not sleeping, so let me check this thing out. And just had a freaking blast. This show is not made for, finally, they always say that wasn't made for you, because obviously if you didn't like it, it wasn't made for you. Bullshit. This, however, is a show that's not made for a 52-year-old man. It just isn't. It is made for a tween or a teenager, definitely teenage girl. The energy is so high on this. It's just infectious. It's a fun show. Yeah, it's got plot holes. It does. It's got silly premises, But it really just covers them up just by being entertaining. It was a lot of fun. I've read comic books like this, and there's a lot to like. And one thing I'm going to start with is something that people are coming around to, even if they don't like the character of the show. We're all liking the actress playing Ms. Marvel because she's showing up, even Kevin Feige, and talking to him, going, "No, you're wrong. This is how it is in the Marvel universe." And so she's got points for that, but I actually think she's playing Miss Marvel pretty well. He pauses to see if you have anything to say.
Well, again, I mean, I'll echo the same sentiments. I mean, first off, definitely it's not made for me. And that being said, it's fine.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
I think people you target it in the age group, should hopefully do like the show. Don't become lunatics for but that's a different point. But we compare this to some of the previous kind of outings of shows that were say target or we assume targeted for tweens. You talked about Cloak and Dagger, throw Runaways in that same category. None of those kind of had kind of the level of fun. I mean, I'd like to say that this reminds me of basically kind of like the MCU version of a Disney Channel TV show or a Teen Nick show from back in the day. Not slightly as goofy. I mean, I still have my concerns, especially with who they allowed to show run this.
Yeah.
And I think that I really see some tonal problems showing up in this in terms of what kind of villain they introduce. Now, you can say a good thing or a bad thing is that the one thing that Ms. Marvel has been lacking in the comic books that they've never figured out is a good nemesis, a good foe. Mm-hmm. She has been fighting against the government, I think, as often as any particular villain.
One of the worst Kamala Khan scenes, it was during the 2016 election, and they have her rushing into the mayor's office saying, "You need to," I'm like, security. Yeah, we have an Avenger in here that needs to be arrested now. It's just, I hate those scenes in any comic book. Here, though,
well, because I was going to say, I mean, that's the only thing that we don't get in this first episode is there's really no villain setup.
I kind of figure there will be, but I don't know if it would be entirely necessary. Part of the charm of this, of course, is the actions and interactions between her and the friend and the family. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of drama or chaos that she needs to deal with. The family aspect, the parts with a friend and such like that. Those, I think this is just one of those the kind of lends itself to more of the slice of life as we've come to hate. Except for if it's anything done well is good. You can take a look. What was his name? Terry Moore. Strangers in Paradise. It's you can have slice of life shit that's good. Amazing Man is a book that I always point out to. This book, this show opens up though on her doing a YouTube channel, and she's a YouTuber, and she's doing, I think they said it was a 10-part thing where she's talking about basically the MCU up to this moment and Endgame, where Ms. Marvel comes in and saves the day, and she's the only one that punches Thanos. And of course, I'm like, well, Ms. Marvel was only on Earth for 3 days, I think, total.
It's from what Kamala has learned. Or
has heard, but that's the thing. It's so inaccurate. It comes off like this is somebody who obviously wasn't there, heard a few things, thought this person would be awesome, and kind of modeled herself that this is the hero I want to be, because all she is like, she acts like, and the way she tells the story is like somebody else who really likes Ms. Marvel told her. So it's a bunch of bullcrap, but it fits because, like I said, Captain Marvel hadn't been on Earth at all for 2 days, maybe. in the entirety of the MCU, all 30 films. So I thought that kind of worked in the way that it was incredibly stupid. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but it does. Something else I thought worked was, if you look, she doesn't have any views. She is doing this all for herself, and we all know how that works, kids.
That part I did not pick up on. And I was just going to say that. No, sorry.
Okay, I was just going to answer it. It's just, I think I noticed, because anytime there's a YouTube thing, I always look at the view count and everything on TV, because a lot of times they either up it, it's like, hey, we're going to put out a song today, and then it shows it getting a million views in 15 minutes. Like, bull crap. Anyway, go on ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, as you were talking about it, it just brought up a comparison I was thinking of. Is her videos are similar to like the Marvel kids, the kids books that Marvel puts out, like in the bookstores that like tell the story.
Yeah.
Like, here's an origin story of Captain Marvel. And then you go and flip through it, and it's just like highlights, and they'll change a few things around. And of course, we can go, well, no, I can go pick up the original comic book over here, and here's quote unquote the real story. It's very to me. So it just kind of like hit me as you were talking about it. It's very similar to that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if you think about, what, actually being in this universe would be like. That, she shouldn't know the full story. She shouldn't know everything that we as the viewers or the watcher, of the MCU knows. So that part was fine.
Well, I don't like it when, like, if you watch Venom, there was a character running a bar that knew way too much about the battle at Wakanda. Then I was like, how do you know this? But because it wasn't like her. It wasn't like Kamala Khan, who's telling you the wrong story. This guy's giving details. And then Captain America said, love the beard. No, he wouldn't know that. Nobody would know that. And we're even seeing that in comic books where, since we know it, the hero or villain knows it. Yep. Go take care of it, man. I'll grab the comments. Yeah. Let me see. I see you guys are doing the Goonies here. Hi, Ash. How you doing? Jean Grey was Marvel girl in the days, I think. Oh, yeah. It was Ms. Marvel girl. No, it was, Ms. Marvel was Carol Danvers originally. Let me see. Hey, you guys. She's she is. She's, for the beginning, the way that the show opens, she's an unreliable narrator telling her, basically it's part of the character in the comics. She is a fangirl for Captain Marvel. So they just wanted to add that here. And it's entertaining as hell. It really is. Part of what she's doing, it's like little paper dolls. As a matter of fact, I looked at it and went, wow, that would actually be kind of a cool way to tell a comic book story or something like that. That's really neat. But it looks like she made them because they're all on like notebook paper and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that's strange about this show, now Venkman reminded me of a show my daughters used to watch called Lizzie McGuire, starring the blonde girl. Nice. Hilary Duff. It was called Lizzie McGuire. And I remember on Lizzie McGuire, sometimes cartoon versions of her would pop up. And that would happen throughout the show as well. When she's talking to her friend about cosplaying as Captain Marvel, they talk about costumes, and on the building beside them, cartoon versions of Captain Marvel is appearing in all different kind of costumes. She has to take a driver's test. She fails. Now, this is going to come off as cringe, but I promise you it's real, because she backs into the driving instructor's car, and it's like, wah, wah. We've seen it all before, right? If you go to Extreme Movie Show, the guy I was on that for a little bit. Venkman and my friend Rob has taken over, but my friend Rob, we took driver's ed together, and when it came down to our first times in the cars, we're going to do this drive straight back up straight, and we were told to okay, get it ready to go, put it in drive. Instead of putting it in drive, Rob put it into R for run. And so while everybody else went forward, he went back and over this big ass log. It was, yeah. So that thing really does happen. That does happen. So yeah, you see, she fails her driver's test. So when her family's talking to her, she kind of buzzes out. This is not a perfect hero, by the way. She is not a perfect character. She's got flaws. She acts like a teenager. She's very flitty. And so when they're yelling at her, she kind of goes into her own world, and you kind of see a cartoon Captain Marvel flying by her as she's really thinking about Avengers Con, and she wants to go to the Avengers Con. Yeah, the guy in the bar talking about Wakanda. What if he was there? I know, right? What? Maybe he was running a bar in Wakanda, and that's why he moved. Yeah. Lizzie McGuire, no relation to Jerry Maguire. I think it's younger sister. Yeah, there's a channel called the Extreme Movie Show, XTREME, that we started up talking about movies. I don't go there a lot because the times just don't mix for me, and they don't tell me what movies they're going to talk about anyway. So I think tonight they talked about Romancing the Stone, which I could have said some few things, but yeah. But I haven't been on for a while. I do have my own movie show, but I'm gonna get started up called I Love Movies, because I'm just gonna call everything I do I love something. All right. Well, happy Superman Day to you, Ash. Chris Burton saying it is a fun show. It reminds me of Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, with all the imagination stuff going all throughout. One thing about her, though, is she does a lot of people I've heard when they complain about something is that it's the typical foreign mother who's always putting that. No, it's a mom. Look, they play the parents off very well. It's almost like her mom is overbearing and very protective and everything, and her dad is not as much, and he's kind of flighty and without being over the top. He's the one that doesn't, he wants tradition, but he doesn't push it so hard. So it reminded me of Hal and Lois from Malcolm in the Middle, if you've seen them. But one thing I've got to say, and I'm very grateful for this, they are a Pakistani family. They are not, hey, this is Muslim love, and let me put all of this out. They just let the characters be who they are. This could have gone, so this is what I was actually expecting from it, because I was expecting it to go woke with the Muslim religion, where they're just kind of slamming it in and just, but no, look, the family's going to be Muslim. It's kind of where they're from. It's what they do. But this is not something that is put to the forefront of the story. The story comes first. There's a great scene. I know I'm spoiling some of it, but I apologize for that. But there is a great scene. She's asked to go to the Avenger Con. The mom's, no, you're not going to be dressing sexy in tight clothes like that slut Captain Marvel's. They don't say that, but that's basically what she's alluding to. So she's sad, and the parents came up with a compromise. So the dad bursts in, and she into her room, and he's all greened up, and he's got the Hulk muscles and everything. And they said, okay, here's the compromise. You can go to Avenger Con, but your dad has to come with you. And you're both dressing like Hulks. And actually, the costume that the mom made up, it's Hulk, but with a Surrey. I thought, actually, that's not bad. That is not bad costume for Kamala, if you wanted your daughter to do that kind of thing. I actually thought, why not just put a Surrey on the Captain Marvel outfit? They kind of let her try that out. Like Kamala Khan herself had one that she started to put around her waist, but then kind of tossed it aside. But the dad comes in, and he's hulked out, and she just goes, no, you can't come with me. It's my thing. And she just goes, and the father, who was so excited, this is good acting on his part, because you could see the sadness seep in. He was excited. He wanted to go with his daughter. I know how that is. My daughters, they're now 27 and 25, 26. And they don't want to hang out with dad anymore. But dad wants to hang out with with his daughters. So I'm always going, hey, kids, the movies? Hey, kids, let's go to Disney. Hey, kids, let's go here. Nah, we're good. It's okay. I want to go to the beach. Y'all want to go to the beach? Yeah. And then they leave. Yeah, they wanted to go to the beach. They just didn't want to go with dad. So I know that pain, and he just played it very well. So there's a lot of good scenes in that. It's got heart. It's a lot of fun. And of course, then she gets a box from her grandmother, and this is where the powers come from. In the box, there's a band, and I went, oh my gosh, they're doing what were they called? The mega bands, the quasar stuff. It looks like quasar. It doesn't look like Nova Corps. It looks like the quasar bands. I forget what they're called. You guys are smarter than I am because you're actually looking stuff up. And so whatever that was, that's what it looks like. That's my call. It's the band that powers up Quasar. That's where Ms. Marvel is going to be getting her powers from. Then I know it's different. Okay, it bothered me for a little bit. Then I'm like, okay, I get it. You don't want them to be, you don't want to be in the Inhumans just yet, which is kind of silly since we know Inhumans exist. They've been announced. Inhumans exist with the Doctor Strange movie. So, okay, you don't want to do that. Fine. They redid her powers. They look fine. Negabands. Oh, Marvel had the Negabands. Okay, well, it looks like they're going to be bringing that up because that's what it came to me. That's what it looked like to me. So yeah. Oh, Dixar said I'm lucky he rarely sees his adult children. I know, right? It's I feel your pain, dude. Except for, of course, I noticed they changed the powers in the trailer. Yeah, they did, but it looks okay. Like when somebody's falling and she kind of reaches out, it does look like it extends from her hand, like it would be. And I guess sometimes what works in comics doesn't work in real life. So maybe that big ass hand at the end wouldn't look. They figured that, but it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me as much. And yeah, they did it. Chris Burton's mentioning they didn't. No, not Megabands. They did hint at the fact that her grandmother wore these at one point in time. Make sure you don't mispronounce neg. I was saying mega, but yeah, I get it. Yeah. But so overall, I gotta say, I'm just having a blast with this. I like the romance between her and her friend. It's her and this white kid, and it looks like they're going, and they don't mention anything. They don't mention a thing. It's just happening. Now, here's the thing. Here's the big problem I have with this. I loved episode 1 of Moon Knight. I thought that was clever as hell, the way they did the blackout, and all of a sudden we saw what happened, and we got to see the aftermath of it. Just okay, so what happened? What's going on? That was really cool. I was really intrigued with the first episode of Moon Knight, and then I was less intrigued with the second episode, and the third, and the fourth. And why am I watching this again? Oh yeah, because I got a YouTube channel, and sometimes people like to talk about this stuff. And that's the way it felt. Moon Knight wasn't bad in my opinion, but it wasn't anything else either. It was, very middle of the road. Blah. So I'm looking forward to the second episode of Ms. Marvel. Hopefully they keep this excitement going. They keep the fun. The fun is most important. And they leave out the woke politics, and they just let these characters be living, breathing people instead of messengers for the agenda. I'm really hoping this is the case, because right now what we're getting is just not that. We're getting exactly what we wanted out. When we say we want good comics, when we say we want good stories like that, this is what we're getting. We're getting fun. It's entertaining. Obviously, at least the actress knows what she's talking about. But yeah, there you go. That's about as far. I was hoping LK would make it back so he could put in his 2 cents worth as far as this show's concerned, but I guess not. Overall, though, yeah, I recommend Ms. Marvel. Give it a shot if you have. Hey, LK, what's up?
Hey, I come back just in time for you to wrap up.
I was yeah. If you want to hold on, let me get side to side there. Yeah, if you want to put in your 2 cents on Ms. Marvel, I just basically raved for a while.
I mean, I'll give the first episode thumbs up. As you know, to simplify, as I said, obviously it's not for me, but I think it should hit with the teen audience. I was really afraid at the very beginning that we were going to get this just overly insane fangirl type stuff, but they seemed to tone that down kind of in the second half. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be interesting to reveal to see, what kind of backstory they come up with, for, was it Nana? The one who had the bracelet, before, that part, didn't really bother me that much. Things I liked the most were actually, I know you'd started talking about it, was the family dynamic. Mm-hmm. And then the whole scene where Kamala goes shopping with her mother in the neighborhood. I thought that was just really well done because it was understated. It was just, here they are going to the neighborhood. Whereas so many times we have seen stuff go over the top, to just, be, not just diverse, but just,
woke,
just throwing it in your face, and more importantly that, thank God there wasn't some scene of, that some evil white person that happened to be down the street, making a disparaging comment or something. We didn't get any of that. And so I really appreciate that because honestly, I don't trust the showrunner who's doing this to not insert something like that based on what her track record is.
Yeah.
And again, I had, a couple other qualms, but I know some people have said, oh, no, they do have conventions like this, at night. It's just, my limited convention experiences, usually most of the convention stuff's over like by 5 or 6 o'clock, so that whole part about her it seemed a bit contrived, but
yeah, I felt the same thing, but I was like, okay, you know what, for this, I can let that go. It's obviously, that's what I was talking about with the inside baseball thing. Mm-hmm. We know because, of course, we go to conventions and they are the latest I've ever stayed was 8, I think.
Yeah.
And that's on the first day, Thursday. They know that they've got to wait for people to get off work, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I mean, the thing is that, it was good. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to watch the whole season or not. Because as I say, it's not necessarily for me. It's not something I'm hugely invested in. Mm-hmm. But at least it's nice to see for one episode that the MCU hasn't screwed things up.
And that is something I said while you were finishing your dinner, is the fact that I understand because of my experience with Moon Knight, which Ash he's saying that he felt differently. It started off weak and it ended. So obviously, everybody's got different opinions. They happen. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I understand. Next episode might not be as good, but I'll tell you what, man. As far as right now, I'm very much there. I'm very much in on it. And I'll watch it to the end. Okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah. See, again, as I say, I'm just not sure. I'll watch the next episode, to see where it goes. Last thing I'll say is probably the scene that made me cringe the most was the guidance counselor scene. And
I can't even remember that though.
Well, where she has to go in and talk to the guidance counselor, and says, Kamala, what are you doing with your life, sort of thing. The guy with the rainbow sweater on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. As I've said, and I'll be polite here, but he is the kind of person that you would go and find a TikTok video and the Twitter feed, libs of TikTok, show up on multiple times.
That was the one where she tells her mom that after that she tells her mom that I have to figure out my future in the next 5 or 6 hours. So,
yeah. But his whole demeanor, everything was just like, oh my God. What's funny is I'm sure that they put him in thinking that, oh, here we are being diverse again and blah, 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 thinking it was a good thing when it's like, oh my God, I wouldn't want my children anywhere near this person.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. I'm trying to think, did I miss anything that I wanted to talk about? Because for a little bit I was thinking about something and I was like, oh yeah, I want to make that point. Jim is saying, I saw the trailer and this is the first MCU show that I want to watch one of these days. Like I said, this is the first episode, so I can't really place it. But yeah, I like this. I feel better about when I first saw the first episode of Falcon and the Snowman, hated it right away. It was just like, this is crap. This is obvious crap. It got better and then it got worse. It's like there's a few episodes in there that I actually liked, but overall that show ended up bad. I knew I hated that one right away. I loved WandaVision from the very beginning. And then, of course, was like, wait, she's the bad guy. Why are you not stopping the bad? Hey, okay, you're saving that for the movie. Got it. Okay, that's fine. As far as Loki, I actually liked Loki until 3 months down the line when I'm thinking about Loki. Like now, I want to go back because I've got such a bad feeling towards that show.
And you should.
What If is absolutely the worst thing that's ever been associated with Marvel, and I'm including Howard the Duck.
No.
I am including Stripper Fucking Ella, done by Stan Lee. Okay, this is the freaking What If is the worst thing to ever bear the Marvel name.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this: if you're going to go back and watch Loki, go back. It's either episode 3 or episode 4. It's the one where they're on the train and all the conversation with female Loki back and forth and all that crap. That's the one where either she wrote it or she at least got the writing credit on the episode. But Bisha K. Ali, who's the showrunner or the head writer on Ms. Marvel, she wrote that episode. I think that is also like one of the worst episodes. Loki, and might be one of the 5 worst episodes of the MCU.
I actually, for the longest time, Hawkeye has been my favorite of the TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was a fantastic show. I mean, it set out to do one thing, and this is why I kind of laugh at when I hear, "Oh, it was a bait and switch." No, it wasn't. It was always set up to introduce Kate Bishop. The real life story, of course, is that Jeremy Renner is both aging and pricing out of the MCU.
Yeah.
And so, hey, we've got this other Hawkeye on deck. Let's bring this in. We'll pay a little less money. That show was always intended to replace Hawkeye. So when they're replacing Hawkeye, it's not a bait and switch, kids. It's not. I'm sorry. And at no point in time was she ever better than him. The only time that people even can point to is when he jumps to a line that's supposed to support a girl that stands this tall and it doesn't support him. I went, yeah, that actually kind of makes sense. I mean, you would want her to be able to support her and some extra weight, but there's a different weight when you're strapping it and then walking down a building than when you're jumping to it, because you have that torque that goes here. So when that falls, I have no problem with that. That is actually that's a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. And Kingpin didn't get punked. It's in the cartoon, and if you it's in the comic book, and if you watch what happened to the Kingpin, that bitch got hit by a car and blown up and shot in the head, and he's still going to be okay. So they didn't punk out Kingpin. They blew him up and hit him with a car and electrocuted him, I think. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I mean, for me, the MCU shows, it's Hawkeye up here, and then the first 6 episodes of WandaVision, and then everything else is down here, and then down below the floor is What If.
Wow,
so yeah,
I liked it that much.
What, below the floor? Down to the center of the earth. Oh yeah, no, it's truly awful. But yeah, so I mean, a few quick things about Hawkeye. I mean, number one, the reason why Hawkeye is up here for me is it mostly stuck the landing, for the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had the best final episode or 2 episodes of any MCU show so far. I know Rhaegar saying I'm not sure it's not a bait and switch. Well,
because it was always supposed to be the Kate Bishop origin story. The bait and switch is in your head by not understanding that that's what it was.
Yeah. No. Well,
it's on you, dude. That's not on the show.
See, example of bait and switch would be more something like what happened in Moon Knight. But we won't get into that. But
yeah, because we'll argue that
all of Hawkeye still stayed mainly, when Jeremy Renner was there, it was focused on him. It wasn't
Loki.
Loki 100%
Loki
is
could be a bait switch.
And so we get to the final scene, and so it's basically set up of, here's Clint riding off into the sunset. He's not getting pushed out. And you can even imagine, that Kate stays there for a period of time, basically, learning and getting mentored by Clint. And then if they do a season 2, then you pick up with Kate's story. So yeah, I mean, overall, as I say, I think it mostly stuck the landing at the end. I agree with Kingpin. If you kind of go back and watch that scene, she's getting the crap beat out of her, and it's only, a little bit kind of a stroke of luck, and, using something, it wasn't her, throwing 20 punches and then Kingpin goes down. She didn't beat him with her fists. Because I think wasn't like a conduit came loose or something. She was able to like kind of electrocute him, I think.
Yeah, she did that. Yeah. They did that bottle trick that they were doing with the when they were decorating the tree.
Yeah. So, and again too, I thought the acting was some of the better acting in any of the MCU shows.
One of the big complaints, of course, is that they kind of simmered the Kingpin down, of course, because Netflix MCU was able to have him decapitate somebody with a car door. And this is more comic book MCU. So or PG MCU, we should say. Yes. So they're not going to have that happen. So a lot of times the fight between him and Kate Bishop was just her getting hurled into stuff, rather than him picking her up, twisting her head off, and using her as a Pez dispenser, which is what the Netflix Kingpin would have done.
I was gonna say the thing that bothered me most about Hawkeye was Echo. And again, this is a case where, being a comic book fan and having read and loved that arc where she's introduced and becomes part of the Daredevil universe, that it really bothered me how she was used and kind of the way that they characterized her. Because she really should wind up becoming kind of a hero, because she early on finds out how bad Kingpin is, and they really drug that out to the end. And so I didn't like the way that she was used and portrayed in the series, but otherwise, it's a perfectly good series.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not very familiar with it. I never read the Echo storyline. I didn't mind it here. One of the other complaints that I heard of, which I got to tell you, and it's funny, we did a Ms. Marvel. Now we're on to just the rest of the TV shows. We did the one scene that I hear a lot of complaints about, which I got to say, guys, you're wrong, was the scene where Hawkeye gets captured by the tracksuit mafia, and he's being held on this little rocking horse thing. And I actually heard people say that Kate Bishop rescues him. Did you watch the show? First of all, Hawkeye didn't get captured. He let himself get captured. He's standing there, not moving when they come out to get him. His whole thing was he's going to get captured because he wants to find some information. Then he's sitting tied up, very much the same way Black Widow sits getting tied up in the Avengers, letting them talk all they want, so he gets all the information he gets. Kate Bishop falls to the floor. He actually says, you're screwing things up, because he knows now he's got to worry about her not dying in the fight that's about to happen.
Yeah,
because he's about to make his escape, and when he gets the information he needs, he does. That was the whole thing. That whole scene was Hawkeye being badass. Not as badass as it was when he puts on the Ronin suit and goes Batman on everybody, but it's still a pretty badass scene for Hawkeye. But yeah, that was actually one of the scenes I just like. You guys just didn't see the show. I understand sometimes you go into things with a bias. and you're going to see what you want to see. And in that case, that's what happened with that.
Well, I would say less of bias and more of you've just been hurt and burned so many times.
Yeah, I've mentioned that.
When you see a similar situation coming up, just like the dog that gets beaten every time.
Yeah,
because you're expecting the hand to come down and smack you in the face.
Did I say ramen suit? I meant Ronin. God, I said ramen. Yeah. He puts on a suit made of noodles. I don't know what I'm saying sometimes, but yeah, the way I say it is you only get hurt so much before you start flinching when someone reaches for the salt. So yeah, okay, I get that.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just finish up with this. And you mentioned Ronin and how badass that was. That again, we talk about missed opportunities in the MCU. That's one of the missed opportunities, and that if ideally there would have been a Ronin series before this, because I think that could have been really, really awesome.
I wouldn't mind an Iron Fist series.
Yeah,
I think that could be really interesting.
Basically it would have been set, after comes back, and it's because we get kind of glimpses of it. He's way he talks about it in terms of he was in a bad place after came back from the snap, from Infinity War, and dealing with Natasha and sacrificing herself and all that. That could have been a really good series, but for whatever reason they decided not to do it. Maybe Renner didn't want to do it. Who knows? But there was an opportunity there. It would have been kind of cool, but it is what it is.
Well, Rhaegar, that's questionable. I know they said we got an Iron Fist series, but I saw a Daughter of a Dragon TV show that kind of co-starred Iron Fist. Yeah, I know. I'm just being facetious. No, it's Hawkeye was better, by the way, than the comic. I tried to read the comic, I had it on auction, and when I put it up on auction, I literally said this book sucks. I can't lie to you guys about a review, even if I'm trying to sell the book. This book's awesome. It's great. Here, check this. No, the Matt Fraction Hawkeye sucked. It was bad. That was what the book was. This TV show was based on, and the TV show was done so much better than the comics. And I don't know. Would I counted it better than the CW shows? Later seasons, yeah, except for Man of Steel or Lois and Clark, or what is it called? Superman and Lois and Stargirl are probably the only two I would put either equal or above. You can't convince me that those two aren't two of the best TV shows based on superheroes. Those are incredible. Also, nothing is. Was there? Yeah, I was being facetious, Chris. There was an Iron Fist show on Netflix, but he sucked. The best part about that show, and it wasn't designed this way. So once again, I'm not going to say it's a bait and switch, because it wasn't designed for Iron Fist to suck. They just got a bad actor. Well, he's not a bad actor, but he was bad for the role. He didn't train. The young lady who played Colleen Wing did, and she threw herself into her fight scenes. And so I think her part worked out. So it wasn't designed to be a bait and switch. It was something where when you're watching it, you just prefer to see her than him. Hopefully Stargirl sticks around. I've been loving that show. As far as the MCU, I almost want to talk about What If, just to justify all the evil things that it's done to me just by having to. I didn't have to watch, but I did watch every episode.
No, maybe we'll have to hold that for a different one here, because I need to eat before things get cold here. So.
Okay. We've been going for an hour. So, guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us and hear us bitching about TV shows and watching LK eat. I don't know if I'm up for another one of these in about half an hour. I don't have any topics. That's what we're talking about. But anyway, we do on Monday. Also, we have a live stream, so check that out. And also I know on Geeky Puppet Channel, they go and they do their readings and all. So check them out if you haven't done that yet. Otherwise, thank you very much for hanging out with us. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Enjoy.
Have a good one, everybody.
It's good times.